Well, hello everybody. It's Kowgirlkate finally. A long time no see. I thought I'd try one of these styles of videos just to kind of test the waters. I know it's been a long time since I've been around in YouTube land, but however on Instagram, that's kind of been my go-to this past year or so, just because it's quick and easy and not near the amount of work that a video is. I'll be straight up about that, but here I am anyway. It's been kind of a crazy year around here. If you follow me on Instagram, this past year we had a studio built onto the house, and that's been just a godsend. I can't even, because it has just paved the way for so much creativity to happen, not only for me but also for my kids, because they often go out there and they either paint or play their music or whatever they feel like doing. They get to utilize that space because it's pretty good about being soundproof, and just the way I had it designed, it's easy to clean. So if they go out there and paint, you know, the cleanup is really easy to take care of, and it's been wonderful. So with that in mind, I have been spending quite a bit of time out there myself. Most of my stitching is out there, but today, since I don't have the air conditioning installed in there yet, it's a bit warm. So I thought I would retreat to the house, and well, here I am. So I'm very curious on what's all up with everybody else, because this past year has also been crazy, where I haven't gotten to do a lot of floss tube watching. Just, I don't know, either I just couldn't focus on it, or had things on my mind that it was really great for when I was recovering and so forth, but for the most part I am really behind in the floss tube world, so my apologies for that. Here's hoping that it gets a little better, just because I am so far behind. But now that hot days are here, it'll be a good opportunity that I can catch up and see what everyone else has been up to. I know there's been a couple of several actually, really big retreats that have happened. I know StitchCon was just a few days ago, and I was just loving seeing all the pictures and live feeds and stuff on the Instagram about that, and oh my gosh, that is fun. That would be a fun one to go to if I ever get the chance. But it's kind of hard for me to get away that far for that long, because we have animals, and you know, they have requirements, and yeah, if you've ever been in farming or around farming, it can be kind of difficult to find help that's willing or able to take care of your stuff if you should happen to be gone for 3 or 4 days. So that's kind of a struggle, especially when there's as many animals to take care of as what we have, because not only do we have the pets, you know, which is a full-time gig in itself, but you know, we also raise cattle and hogs, and you know, that's a lot of work. I ain't gonna lie there either. It's a lot of work. So finding people that are able to fill in can be a struggle. But anyway, enough about that. I'm really curious as to how you all are doing. So I think when I finish filming this, I'm going to take the afternoon to just revel, I guess is a good word for it, in the miracle of floss tube, because it's been so long since I've gotten to see what anything is going on there with anybody, which, as I've said, is a shame. But here's hoping that it all changes, because now the weather's hot and we'll be inside more. And I'm not a fan of watching TV, so it's FlossTube to the rescue, or audiobooks, or just plain old music while I work on stuff. What I need to do is get something set up in the studio that I could just binge watch all my videos on the TV, because there's a TV in there now, but I don't use it, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, once we get things organized a bit more in there, because I still need to put the shelves in, and I still need to get a lot of the things organized in there. But, you know, it's all a process. It'll happen. In the meantime, though, what I have been up to this past year, I guess I could fill you all in on that, if you wouldn't mind listening to it. I guess I'll start with how last summer was. And last summer, for me, was not a very pleasant one, just because I was not feeling very well, and neither was my mother-in-law. And so it was kind of absolute chaos. Just trying to help them, and it's hard to do that at your maximum capacity if you are not feeling very well yourself. But we survived it, thank goodness, and we're here to tell the tale, so it's all good. She wound up getting really sick and weak, and to the point where, you know, we were over there quite a bit helping with everyday things, just because she just did not feel good enough to do those things. You know, she kind of reserved her energy for things that she enjoyed most, and, you know, what else can you do, I mean, in that situation? But she had surgery then in December, right before Christmas, which was, oh my goodness, total craziness. But again, she's a tough lady. We got through it. Her daughters came and stayed then for well over a week, and that was a big help for me, because at that point I was really kind of on my last leg too, because I was set up for surgery in January. So we were kind of two peas in the same pod, but we made it. And she's doing great. She's running around like her old self again, and that's just, you know, fantastic. So we're very lucky there. My own surgery, I guess I can discuss that. It was for sinuses, and it was rather strange, because I guess from what they told me, there's only very few population in the U.S. that has this sort of thing going on, but the nasal passages, I want to say, and that'd be like way up inside your nose. For me, there was this little, kind of like an eggshell, like the size of like a little bird's egg, you know, a tiny little bird's egg. But when that, and of course that it was made of bone, and it had tissue around it, but there was air also inside it, you know, just because that's how the bones of the nose are or whatever. I don't know, it was rather strange. But anyhow, I was having chronic sinus infections, and I was on antibiotics for about a year prior to this surgery. So it was just not a good year at all. But anyway, what they did was for the surgery, they removed part of that little eggshell, for lack of a better word. There's a name for it, but I'm just going to call it a little eggshell. They removed part of that, and then they took out some of the bone on the other side, so that if I were to get a cold or whatever, that just wouldn't swell shut, and then I would get a sinus infection, okay? So with that all gone, that was quite a recovery, because, like I said, they were cutting bones out of my face, and that was back in January. So we get through all of that, and I went back in for the final appointment with the surgeon to see how things were healing and everything. And he found a lump that hadn't been there the week before. And so that kind of concerned him, because he didn't know what it was. So he ordered more tests. And in between him seeing it at the office and the 2 weeks that it took to get the second CT scan or whatever, this tumor or growth or whatever it was had almost filled up the entire nasal cavity. And so that really scared him, and of course it scared me, you know, because he threw out the cancer word, and he says we got to get it out and we got to test it. And you know, if you're ever in that situation, don't rely on Google to tell you anything, because all Google is going to do is create worry and, you know, give you things to think about that aren't going to do any good, you know. Point blank, it's just a waste of your time and worry. So after that day, and we got the surgery all set up, I promised myself that I was going to stay off of Google after I found out the likelihood of what happens if you have sinus cancer. So I shut that down right then. I wasn't going to do any more research on my own, because it was just a waste of time, and I had other things that I wanted to think about rather than that. So the second surgery then was in April, and I'm still kind of recovering from that one, just because it's been kind of a rough road, just in general, with all the surgery and the anesthetic and whatevers. But anyway, there was no cancer, so I'm very happy about that, and I can go back to living a crazy life again. And so far so good. There hasn't been a spike or whatever in, I guess, the body trying to recover from whatever was going on, as what happened with the first surgery. So that was kind of better, but at the same time, they want to keep an eye on things just to make sure. But it's not something I'm going to worry about, because I ain't got time to worry about stuff that isn't real or isn't an actual event. You know, there are so many things that are real and are actual events that I need to worry about instead. So that's where that stands. Now, in the creative department, because, you know, that's a better topic to discuss anyway. In the creative department, I've been getting a lot of things done this year, which is kind of a record for me, because normally I don't, and I blame it all on this not feeling well and surgery recovery and what have you. But that's okay. Making good use of time is what you gotta do, because you only get so much. Alexa, turn it down a little. Sorry. Alexa's getting kind of loud on me. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, the creative part. So far, it's been a really good summer with finishing up several large projects out in the studio, which were, you know, probably, the one painting I've been working on for a couple years off and on, and the other one I started last year, so it's good to get those finished up. And then once, probably toward fall maybe, it'll be time to get those situated where they need to have their varnish done. And then once they get their varnish, then it'll be time for their giving them away, and I won't get to see them anymore, which will be kind of weird, but that's alright, because that's what they were intended for. And well, then I'll just have to make some more to cover up that empty space in the studio. You know how it goes. So that part has all been good. The latest adventure that happened in the studio, I tried sculpting again, and I ain't done that since 10 years ago, and that was for a little tiny leopard. And then 20 years ago I tried to do a sculpture of a lady who was a sorceress. So yeah, this is the third one I've tried, and I really like it now that I have proper tools for it, because I think that makes all the difference. The last two tries I just had toothpicks to work with, so it was kind of fiddly. But, you know, you do what you do. That's how you learn. But now the mermaid's done, and I'm hoping to get back into painting again here once I get the AC put in the window, because the studio doesn't have central air. And that'll be a good thing, because then I can go play out there again. But in the meantime, here we are, doing needlework, which will always be a true love too. What can I say? And this project happens to be the desert chatelaine, and it too has gotten a lot of progress this past year. It's rather addicting, I'm not gonna lie, because the colors are just so fun, and if they're not fun I change them, because the cactus that I'm working on right now is supposed to be this black, and I didn't like that, so I changed it to a variegated green. And I like the effect much better, if you can see across the way on this one. So I like the effect a lot better. It brightens it up rather than darkens them, because there are going to be animals standing next to them and birds and stuff, and just the black cactus just didn't do it for me. I like to see them green and alive, you know. And well, I guess you could say that they could be silhouetted at night or something, but the birds and the rabbit would be primarily out in the daytime, so it doesn't work for all the critters. So I made them green. Other projects I've been working on this past year, let's see, there's been quite a few. We've had, let's see, so much going on. I'm trying to remember the projects that I was working on. March. Back in March, I dedicated a lot of time to the Lavender and Lace Celtic Ladies, and I got quite a bit of progress done on Ireland, and also the Arwen and Aragon piece, and I think a couple of the other ladies, Saween and Lamas, also had a good run, and they're always fun to work on. They'll always be a project that I'll love doing. And, you know, like anything else, it's kind of like, oh, I don't want to see it end, so I'm kind of dragging them out as long as I can, which really shouldn't be a problem because, you know, I'm the world's slowest stitcher, so it's all good. Besides them, I've been working on the Muka Disney princesses, and I've been getting a lot of progress done on Jane. Kita also had a fair bit of stuff done on her, and I've yet to start any of the other ones. So, you know, that's been kind of on my radar now for doing more work on them now that the hot weather is back, and we have to spend a fair amount of time indoors here just because it's the heat waves are coming. We've had a couple, but when it's, you know, in the 90s and the humidity is at 90% or even 100%, you know, you do chores early in the morning, make sure everybody's got the fans and water and shade, and the dogs usually want to come in the house then, which is fine. They have their own room down in the basement. But it's too brutal to do anything during the middle of the day here when those heat waves come. So I get a lot of time done on stuff I'd rather be doing rather than just working outside. So everybody's happy, right? At least I am. And I would like to start a couple of more projects, I think. Just why not, for kicks. Some of those projects include some heaven and earth designs. My boys are finally, well, they're practically adults. One is an adult, but one will be graduating next year, which is kind of scary to think about. You know, you want them to stay little, but they have other ideas, and it's all good. But anyway, they've decided what projects that they would like to have, and I waited this long because I didn't want them to pick something that would be kind of childish, you know, that they would outgrow or something. And so the projects they've picked now are pretty much, they will, you know, carry over to, you know, being an adult, and it's all going to be fine. Unless they get married someday and their wives don't like it, but that's okay. At least they'll have enjoyed it, you know. And hopefully I'll have it finished that they can, you know. The one boy is very much into Vikings and Nordic history and mythology, because he discovered that there is actually some Viking blood in him thanks to my in-laws' bloodline. And then on my side, I can trace my history back to an Irish warlord from the 8th century. So he's got a lot of material there to work with. And I've always been fascinated with Celtic things because of my lineage, and now that he's got Viking heritage in his, he's really gotten into studying that sort of stuff, which is all good. I think, you know, you should know your roots and you should be proud of them. So his project will be, oh my goodness, I can't remember it now. The Silence After by Chris Ortega, I think, is the project he chose, and it's basically a Viking that's still standing after a battle. And my other son, he has been into dragons since he was a little kid. He's never given that up, which is good. He's got a bearded dragon for a pet just so he can say he owns a dragon. Even though it's kind of a grumpy old thing. We got it secondhand. and he doesn't like to be messed with. He just likes to be fed. If you pick him up, his neck turns all black and he gets real agitated. So we kind of think, being that he was given away free and the people were so anxious to get rid of him, that he was probably one of those abused animal cases, or at least he wound up in a family that didn't know how to take care of, fragile little animals, and he was probably handled too rough, which is why he, gets a little nervous and apprehensive. And he's just always going to be that way. We think. We've had him now almost 5 years, and it's only very rarely that Jake can pick him up and he doesn't get all upset. And it's just, I think he's just so determined that he's going to get hurt by hands that, there's really no way around convincing this little creature that, no, it's not all hands are mean. He's just a little lizard. He's not gonna comprehend things like a higher functioning animal would. You gotta give him some slack because it is just a little critter. But he's with us now these last few years and hasn't gotten over his learned behavior. So we don't pick him up any more than we have to, to clean his cage or that sort of thing. And he does his lizard day, and that's how it is. But anyway, back to the dragon thing. Sorry, I'm going on all these side tricks. But anyway, he chose a picture from Heaven and Earth that is, it's called Dragon Waterfall, and I can't remember the artist. I apologize for that, but it's called Dragon Waterfall, and it's a couple of dragons, and they're just, the composition of the picture is so neat because you have the waterfall coming down and you have the dragon with his wings being real graceful, and then he's just touching one foot on that waterfall. I just love the composition of it and the colors. So he chose that one. But I have yet to start either one because I still need to get some of the colors. But I'm hoping this summer that I can add those into the I don't know what you call it at this point. It's kind of like it's not a whip box anymore. I think I need a barn to hold them, to be honest. But that's okay. Life is short, and if you don't start the patterns, how are you going to know whether or not you're going to enjoy it? And if you're going to start them, well, heck, you might as well enjoy it. So that's my philosophy. Come on. Oh, I must have a tangle on the back. So anyway, those have been my new starts for as far as what I plan on. Other new starts, trying to think. I don't remember if I've had any more new starts. I'd have to go look on my Instagram, which is why I love that. I love that feature of Instagram because I use it to keep track of all what's going on in my life as far as my creative pursuits. So I like it for kind of having a little record of what I've been up to, and then I can just use it for quick reference. I guess internet things. I've joined a couple of groups on Facebook, which have proven to be really fun. Although with all this early summer stuff going on, I kind of fell away from participating or even knowing what's going on in the groups right now. but one was the Harry Potter Magical School of Literature and Stitches, I think is what it's called. That one was really fun. And then there's also one that's centered around Lord of the Rings. And I am a diehard Lord of the Rings fan, and The Hobbit too. So that was just right up my alley, the Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings. But I haven't been in either group now for several weeks to even know what's going on. But I don't know, we'll catch up. The Lord of the Rings one I really like because they have a Stitching to Mordor thing, which is kind of fun because you can follow along on the travels that the characters did in the books, and you can go at your own pace. You know, it's just so much time or how many stitches you put in, then you get to check that off that you've made it that far. So that's been kind of fun. The other is they also have where you can play catch-up. You know, once the challenge or whatever, the homework or whatever you want to call it, once it's over, they save it in the group so that you can go do it at another time. And for me, that's a saving grace because, oh my goodness, I either get sidetracked by something else or, you know, farming comes up and whatever happens, and, you know, there's just so much going on, especially during warm weather, that it's just so nice to be able to still be able to participate even though the challenge or whatever is already finished. You can still go in and play with it. They don't disappear. So I really like that. The Harry Potter one I haven't been in, as I said, for several weeks, so I don't even know what's going on or what. Oh my goodness, I'm so far behind. But yeah, now that we're going to have a heat wave now for the next few days, I hope that I'll get a chance to go check out more things on the computer and see what's going on, because that'll feel like a little vacation for me, just to, you know, sit and think pleasant thoughts for a while rather than what work I gotta do next or whatever. So I'm looking forward to catching up with whatever's going on in those. What else has been going on for internet things? Boy, I can't think of anything because like I said, I've been kind of depending on Instagram for any sort of connection to what people are up to or creative pursuits are happening. So I'm not real sure what's all going on. I guess I could mention some designing news. I'm hoping that being so much indoors this summer will allow me to have a better opportunity to pursue more of the Eye of the Magpie by Kate designs endeavor. I've got several that I'm waiting on for their final review or whatever you want to call it. So it'd be nice to get those cranked out and, you know, get the final stuff figured out on those and get them out into the world. Designing is a lot of fun, but it's kind of a catch-22 because for me, I like the aspect of working with the materials, you know, the painting, the needlework, the clay, you know, whatever. I like that experience. But with designing, you really depend on a computer and it's just click, 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 and it's not as fun. So, you know, there is that. You know, that's what kind of makes it feel like a job for me, but it's a fun job. The other thing on it is it can be very discouraging because there are so many copyright violations left and right that it's just, you know, kind of sickening. And it's like, God, you know, and for any designer, you know, they've invested hundreds of hours into their project and their pattern and all of that sort of thing, and getting it out into the public. You know, there's hundreds of hours just in doing that. Not just the creative process, but the business aspect of it too. And then it just gets just stolen. It's, you know, it can be gut-wrenching to see all your hard work kind of blow up in your face and, you know, have it stolen like that. And so that also keeps me leery from, you know, really putting my neck out there to get my head chopped off, you know, because it's so rampant. So, you know, there's that issue, and I wish there was a solution for it, but I don't know what that is. But what can I say? You know, we're very lucky that we got what we got. So, anyhow, I suppose I've probably rambled on here long enough, and I'm hoping that, as I say, since we're going to have some heat waves and I'll be in the house more often, that I could have a normal video coming up soon. I can't make any promises. You know, it is what it is, just with my schedule and so forth, that I was really happy to have this opportunity to make something. And hopefully it lets me upload it without any trouble, because with summer my boys are home and there's a lot of competition for the internet, so so this might take a while to get it loaded and so forth. But at any rate, if you've made it this far and been patient enough to listen to me babble on, I applaud you, and I want to thank you for stopping by to visit on my channel, and hopefully I will be seeing you all on your channels and getting caught up. And I've just taken to liking videos if I don't have enough time to make a comment, but you know, I am just so tickled with people that are putting the effort out there to make their videos and to share, you know, what they're working on and their creativity and their love of the craft. That yeah, if I'm seeing you, you're getting a like, and I'm just thrilled that you're doing it. So don't ever change. Keep on being you. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of yous who are following me on Instagram and have stuck with me through this long absence of not making videos. You know, you really are beautiful souls in a world that needs more of yous around. So thank you very much for all of your kindness and support and all my craziness, and I hope that your day is fantastic, and that we shall hopefully see each other soon, whether on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. So take care then. Bye.